I have been at Valley Creek since I was about 5, but my journey really didn't start until I was at the age of 19. So before I was really actually following God, I lived off of my parents' faith. I knew what they believed, and I just believed it because they believed it. And then I got to a point in my life where I was making decisions that I was like, oh, well, if I just go to church on Sunday, then that's being a Christian. That's what it looks like. My turning point from my parents' faith becoming my faith was when I recognized that I was in a destructive relationship, and the way that it made me feel was broken down, hurting. It just made me feel worthless. And when I recognized that that's not the life I was created to live, and I was made for more than that, I knew that I needed to find a healthy relationship and biblical community. So the one place that got me into that was deciding to join a group. It made me feel loved and embraced and encouraged, and everyone there was just so life-giving, and I had never experienced something like that. I think the biggest revelation that I've had about who I am is I used to hide behind the mask and tell people that I just didn't want to be around people because I was an introvert, and I hid behind that. And because of a vision that God has given me for my life, I now realize that I can't hide and that I was meant to live in community. And now I get the opportunity to reach out and connect people and connect young adults and just share the love that God has for all of us that I've experienced for myself.
So I grew up going to church with my family, and just church has been a part of my life for a really long time. And it kind of became more of like a task, following rules and orders rather than like actually living out freedom. So it wasn't until 2015 when I came to Valley Creek, and I was hurt because the last church that I went to was very, legalistic, task-driven, and always felt like I was trying to fulfill something, like there was a role that I had to do, and if I didn't do it, like God wouldn't love me. It was very hard coming to like another church, like having to uproot yourself, but it was actually the best thing for me, because when I came to Valley Creek, it was not about what I can give them, but it was more about like what I can receive from God, and it changed my reality, because it wasn't a religion, it was an actual relationship. I was hearing the voice of God in a completely new way that I had never heard before, and like feeling the love of like people around me, but mainly like the Father's love and Him constantly pursuing me regardless of the circumstance that I was in. And it was really the first time that I felt like free. It took a leader literally looking me in the eyes and saying, you don't have to strive anymore. Like, you don't have to work for this. Like, this is a relationship, not a religion. And that was just when the weight lifted off my shoulders. Because it wasn't that I had to like walk this Jesus thing alone. It was like there's somebody with me holding my hand, taking me to my next, like helping me with the next step, leading me towards that life of freedom, if that makes sense.
So growing up, I was taught that God was a distant God that only took care of world matters, and never knew that He was a personal, intimate God. I always wondered, well, doesn't He hear me? Doesn't He see me if He's, everywhere? We just read and sang, and I didn't understand it. So I was always curious as a kid. So always curious as to why things were done a certain way. And when I would ask my parents, they would just say, well, that's just how it is. It was about when I was 16 and one of my close friends from high school invited me to her church. And as soon as I walked in the door, I noticed something different. They talked to me more about who God is and who He made me, His daughter. That's when I discovered, oh, okay, He is an intimate, personal God, and He's actually my Father. It's changed everything, because before I thought I was stuck in the same way. It was a cycle of like, oh, I sinned, I'm so sorry, God, please forgive me. Oh, I sinned again, oh, I'm so sorry, God, please forgive me, to I'm walking in freedom. I can receive healing in my anxiety. I am free from hurt. I can receive healing, I can receive freedom. Believing in God is one thing, but encountering God is something completely different. Because of what He did, I'm enough. I don't have to do anything, work for His love, work for His favor. Like what He did on the cross was enough. He is enough, so I am enough.